Good afternoon. I'd like to begin today by recognizing I'm on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. It's been 14 years since Wednesday, March 7th, 2007. In the early hours of that day, 17 women farm workers were being driven to work in a van built to carry only 15. The van was driving along the Trans-Canada Highway near Abbotsford when it skidded out of control and crashed. Several of those women were injured. 3 of them lost their lives. Amarjit Kaur Bal, Sukhvinder Kaur Punia, and Sarabjit Kaur Sidhu. These women should be with us today. These women should be with their families today. But an employer put cost cutting ahead of safety and ahead of the law. Just 2 seatbelts, bald tires, a wooden bench in the back, a fraudulent safety permit, and a driver without the proper license. This must never happen again. Agriculture remains one of the most dangerous industries in all of British Columbia. Things have become safer, but farm workers still face unacceptable risks. Between 2010 and 2019, 17 agricultural workers have died. They're some of the most exploited and vulnerable workers in all of Canada. And so every year on March 7th, we gather to remember these 3 women, to grieve with their families, their friends, their co-workers, and their community. We renew our commitment to safer, better, fairer workplaces and working conditions for farm workers, including migrant workers. And we acknowledge the enormous debt we owe to farm workers who put food on the table for every person in this province. In past years, we gathered at the Golden Tree Farmworkers Monument erected in 2015 in honor of these 3 women and of all farm workers. The Golden Tree is located on the shared traditional ancestral territory of the Sumas and Matsqui First Nations, part of the Stolo Nation. The Stolo people are the people of the river, and they have lived in the Fraser Valley for over 10,000 years. This year we can't be together in person, but our solidarity, our grief, our remembrance, and our determination are every bit as strong. And there's an added sense of loss this year as we mark the passing of Sharon Gill, co-founder of the Canadian Farm Workers Union, and a dedicated defender of justice for British Columbia farm workers. We mourn his passing, and we celebrate his life and his spirit. We're honored to be joined virtually today by several speakers. His Worship Henry Braun, the Mayor of Abbotsford, the British Columbia Minister of Labour, the Honourable Harry Bains, Avneet Sidhu, the daughter of Sarabjit Kaur Sidhu, Gersharon Dillon, the Legal Advocacy Program Supervisor with Archway Community Services. She has worked with the families of the 3 women who died and the survivors right from the beginning. Claudia Stuer, the Spanish Legal Advocate and Archway Community Services. Raj Chauhan, NDP MLA and Speaker of the British Columbia Legislature and co-founder of the Canadian Farm Workers Union. Satbir Singh Chima, the President and CEO of Progressive Intercultural Community Services. Jim Sinclair, the former President of the BC Federation of Labour. And Avtar Gill, President of the Tarksheel Society and one of the driving forces behind the Golden Tree Monument. We'll begin with Mayor Braun.
The Honourable Harry Bains, Minister of Labour, honoured guests, and those joining us online, Sat Sri Akal. Good afternoon. My name is Henry Braun, Mayor of Abbotsford, and it's an honour for me to be joining this virtual event on behalf of the City of Abbotsford and Abbotsford City Council. I'd like to give my personal thanks to each of you for taking the time to view this online ceremony. Approximately 14 years ago, a terrible tragedy occurred in our community. And today we remember Sarabjit Kaur Sidhu, Amarjit Kaur Bal, and Sukhvinder Kaur Punia, all from Abbotsford. And we remember the 14 others who were involved in this tragedy. We remember their families and their friends whose lives were forever changed. As we come together virtually, we want to show support to the families of these women. We also come together to commit to working for change. Change that brings about safe work conditions for all workers. At the end of their workday, everyone should be able to go home safely and healthy to their friends and families. I would like to recognize the victims' families for their passionate commitment to stopping this kind of tragedy from happening anywhere else. Thank you for your courage. I know your wives, your mothers would be very proud of you. Please know that as a community, we are also proud of your contributions. And I'm very grateful for this Golden Tree Monument and the lasting significance that it brings to our community. It reminds us of the tragedy that happened, but it also honors the life-giving work of farm workers across our country. And it serves as a reminder to continue to fight for change and improvement. Finally, I would like to thank the BC Federation of Labour, Archway Community Services, Progressive Intercultural Community Services Society, and the Sidhu, Bal, and Punia families for organizing this event. Your dedication and commitment to making a lasting difference in our local community and beyond is invaluable. Again, thank you for coming together virtually to remember these precious lives and to honor the lives and work of all of our farm workers. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Harry Baines, Minister of Labour. Each year we gather to remember this somber day. On March 7, 2008, 17 workers were being driven in a van and were on their way to work. Except they didn't make it. Every year we are saddened and frustrated because we know that the deaths of Amarjit, Sukhvinder, and Sarabjit were preventable, and that the injuries of 14 others were also avoidable. At the time, police who attended the scene described the crash as catastrophic. That's just the start of my thoughts and feelings whenever I hear of a person who has lost their life on the job. It is unconscionable and unacceptable. As a Minister of Labour, workplace safety continues to be my #1 priority. I will always stand up for vulnerable workers and workers' health and safety so that we can build safer workplaces, so that families like those we remember today do not have to experience the same suffering. Because all workers have the right to return home healthy and safe at the end of their day. It is the employer's responsibility to ensure the health and safety of their workers. And when they neglect their obligations, more and more are being held accountable. Because of our collective efforts, the number of deaths from workplace injury in this province is declining, while reassuring it is unacceptable that people continue to die in workplace incidents that are largely preventable. I assure you that more can and will be done. Today I stand to remember and honor Sukhvinder, Sarabjit, and Amarjit. Their legacy is recognized in the lives they have touched, including all of us here today. Thank you, and stay safe.
Today marks 14 years after the 2007 tragedy where my mom and 2 other farm workers lost their lives as their transportation van collided with 2 semi-trucks on the Fraser Valley Highway. I would like to begin today with thanks to everyone who could make it. Today is a day of grievance as we remember those that were lost on that day and the 14 others who suffered from life-threatening injuries. With the current farmers' protests going on in India, this anniversary marks a significant occasion in which farm workers are once again caught in the crossfires, and we once again talk about the importance of farm work in our society that has been heavily undermined and overlooked. Farmers are the backbone of our society, and that position demands more respect than we give them. They, like other workers of our country, should have job security and safety measures in place to ensure that nothing is overlooked when it comes to getting them home at the end of the day. After these 14 years, we miss our loved ones dearly, but they serve as a reminder daily to ensure that every worker engaging in any type of work has the means to life, liberty, and security. There needs to be a distinction between making a life and having a life. Making a living should not mean overlooking the health and safety of one just to stay employed. We need to empower others to come forward when safety regulations are not met. And what's more is give them assurance that we will not abandon them, that something will be done about their grievances. Thank you all for listening and being here again today, and I hope to see your continued support now and forever as we engage in the struggle for farm worker rights. I would like to say thank you especially to the continued support of the BC Federation of Labour, WorkSafe, Abbotsford Community Services, the PIC Society and Turkshiel Society for their continued support as well. I hope to see you again all next year.
Hello, Sat Sri Akal and Jiayanu. Dear co-workers, colleagues, media, government agencies and families, welcome to the annual vigil of the 3 women who died March 7th, 2007. As many times when we have an annual event coming, we always look forward to it. But this event, every year I'm saddened by, just because of the situation. We have accomplished certain things since then, but accomplishment should not be that you have to lose the lives of people. We accomplished building a beautiful golden tree that is a reminder and education to our generations to come. But losing 3 people to build this, 3 workers, essential workers, to build a golden tree, losing the 3 golden women, mothers, sisters, who lost their family members. It is important that we stay up to date with all the changes and that the government is held liable and accountable for making changes and doing what they need to do. It is our responsibility as workers as well to be safe and to educate the safety of all workers, not just the farm workers. It has been a long journey for the families and other service providers, and we will continue to do this as an ongoing basis. I strongly encourage every person to keep on going and keep on fighting for your rights and for others when you think it is wrong what's happened. Thank you, and let's not lose another life to build another golden tree.
Hola, mi nombre es Claudia Storr. Yo trabajo para Archway Community Service. Somos la ayuda social en la ciudad de Abbotsford. Hoy estamos aquí reunidos celebrando la vigilia a raíz de un accidente que hubo a primera hora de la mañana de marzo en el año 2007. 3 mujeres subieron a una van, entre otras 14 más. Esta van estaba mal mantenida e insegura, perdiendo la vida 3 mujeres, las cuales eran madres de familia, cuando el conductor perdió el control en el Highway 11, en la autopista número 11, entre Abbotsford y Mission. Estas muertes sin sentido desencadenaron una revisión de toda la provincia del transporte agrícola, una investigación forense que dio lugar a normas, regulaciones y aplicaciones más estrictas, haciendo que el trabajo agrícola fuera más seguro. El árbol dorado es un monumento a estas mujeres, es un monumento a todos los trabajadores agrícolas que todos los años hacen sacrificios, ellos, sus familias, amigos, y como un poderoso recordatorio de las consecuencias de trabajo inseguro. El árbol fue construido con el generoso apoyo de donaciones de gobierno, organizaciones laborales como la nuestra, empresas, grupos comunitarios y donaciones individuales de personas como ustedes y nosotros. Les damos la bienvenida a la temporada 2021 y estamos aquí para ayudarles. Buen día.
Hello, my name is Raj Chauhan, MLA for Burnley Edmonds and the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of BC. Every year, we get together to remember and pay tribute to 3 farm workers, Sarabjit, Sukhvinder, and Amarjit, who were tragically killed in an overloaded van. This year, we are very sad to note that our very dear friend Sharon Gill is not with us anymore. Sharon played a key role in establishing the Golden Tree Monument in the memory of these farm workers. He was a tireless and passionate man committed to promote better working conditions for farm workers. He dedicated his entire life for social justice and protection of human rights. I met Sharon in 1978. Although he was a man who was very serious to fight for equality for all workers and fighting against racism, he also knew how to enjoy his life. He raised awareness about the social issues. By doing so, he has inspired many young people. Thank you, Sharon, for everything you have done. You will be missed.
Good afternoon, everyone. On March 7th, 2007, 3 members of the community, Amarjit Bal, Sarabjit Sidhu, and Sukhvinder Punia, died in an accident on their way to work while riding in an overloaded 15-passenger van. That tragedy shook us to the core, and the whole community felt the pain. I remember the anger and anguish that we all experienced at that time and how we came together to demand changes. Today's vigil is about remembering and about hope for the future. We must be hopeful that conditions for farm workers will change, that we can achieve a 0% accident rate, and that we can save lives of farm workers. We must also ensure that farm workers get fair wages for their hard work and that they qualify for EI benefits without getting exploited by the contractors. We must collaborate to ensure safe work environment for farm workers, much like we do for every other worker. It is extremely disheartening to know that this hard-working section of workers continues to be abused and ignored. This year, on February 2nd, Mr. Charanpal Gill, a great leader and crusader who spent his entire life fighting for the rights of farm workers, passed away. It was a big loss for the whole community. He was a founding member of Canadian Farm Workers Union and served as the president of the BC Organization to Fight Racism and founded the PICS Society in 1987. I would like to reassure the farm workers and all other workers that PICS Society will always be there to advocate on your behalf and work towards our vision to build a healthy and just society. In the end, I'd like to thank the organizers of the vigil for keeping up the momentum and ensuring farm workers' voices continue to be heard. Thank you.
There is nothing I would like better than to be with all of you standing beneath the golden tree, celebrating today the lives of 3 important women. But COVID has changed our world. Let me start by remembering Charan Gill. We first met when he was one of the leaders of the struggle to organize the Farm Workers Union. On the day of the tragedy, I immediately phoned Charan and asked if he could reach out to the families and arrange a meeting. Within a few days, we held a public meeting in Surrey, and the families spoke about the pain and anger they felt. Thus began our long journey for justice for Sarabjit Sidhu, Amarjit Bal, and Sukhvinder Punia. So as we remember them, we also remember Brother Gill for his commitment to justice for farm workers, and today we miss him as well. The tragedy of March 7, 2007 could have resulted in a couple of headlines, a few statements of outrage from the usual characters, and a quick return to business as usual. But your families not only embraced their grief, they found a voice for their anger and resolve that no one should suffer the pain you have. I will never forget the families and the Federation of Labor meeting with the Labor Minister and presenting 28 demands for change only 5 days after the accident. Together we made a difference. There are farm workers today who hug their children, celebrate their families, and live their dreams because of your courage and legacy. To be clear, Sarabjit, Amarjit, and Sukhvinder died because of decades of systemic racism and exploitation. But today we can celebrate that when faced with our moment in this battle, we embraced our grief and we rose to the occasion. The Golden Tree was only possible because of all the other work we did to change the course of history, by our refusal to forget. And I remember tears running down my cheeks when I saw the beauty of Sarabjit and Amarjit and Sukhvinder and all farm workers who toil the soil to feed us when they showed us the design for the tree. But the tree and its beauty are also to remind us we're not finished. Farm workers are still dying on the job. Recommendations to improve safety remain on the shelf. COVID is infecting thousands across the country. We still need to do much more to give farm workers the fundamental promise of our country, to be citizens, to raise families, to join unions, and work for employers of their choice without fear of deportation. Today, we remember three amazing women, their incredible families who demanded justice, in a labor movement that understands its calling is to represent all working people. It has truly been an honor to share your journey for justice.
Myself, Avtar Gill, President, Tarkshil Culture Society of Canada, paying tribute to three women farm workers. It has been 14 years since these three farm workers departed us on March 7, 2007. Nobody had any comments and clues before it happened. Our sisters, mothers, and our comrades' wives, who were the pillars of their families, became past from present in a few minutes. When we heard that one of them, Sarabjit Kaur Sidhu, who has very small children, even one a few months old, our pangs of grief deepened. Although they are grown-ups now, but if we feel or ask them, the intensity of pain after departed young mom cannot be described in words. Similar is the position of other families also. Now, the question arises whether this accident happened because of fate. Is this happened because of time, place, or destiny? No, never. We often hear tales like this, which are far from the truth. Incidents like this could be avoided if the laws would have obeyed, if the passengers would have loaded as per capacity of vehicle, if seat belts would have properly working condition and fastened, if the driver had professional license, etc. These laws can never be fulfilled. Only eyes can be wiped by giving some ransom, which actually happened. Now, when 14 years have passed after this incident, would have been a mere accident, a forgotten accident, except family members. If aware people had not come forward to introspect this accident. I am thankful to all organizations like BC Federation of Labour who worked hard to make a monument, a golden tree in their memoriam. I also want to thank the city of Abbotsford, especially the mayor of Abbotsford, who provided land for this memoriam. I also want to say thanks to donors who contribute financially and all other sympathizers who contribute in any shape. I am also thankful to our elected representatives and media who supported us lots. It is because of this monument that the memory of our departed companions stay fresh even by now. This memoriam will always remind us to do our duties responsibly and sincerely. At last, I, on the behalf of our Tarkshil Culture Society of Canada, sends condolences again to the families of Amarjit Kaur Bal, Sukhvinder Kaur Punia, and Sarabjit Kaur Sidhu, who has suffered a never-ending pangs, and assure you that our society will always stand by you. Thanks.
14 years later, memories are still strong. Grief is still fresh, and the need for action is still with us. I'll ask us all now to take a moment of silence in honor of Amarjit Kaur Bal, Sukhvinder Kaur Punia, and Sarabjit Kaur Sidhu, and all of the farm workers who have died to feed the families of British Columbia. We hold these women in our hearts, along with all the farm workers who've been killed and injured. And we recommit to ensuring this can never happen again. I want to thank all the speakers who shared their thoughts today, and thank you for joining us from wherever you may be. Let's rededicate ourselves to safety, to justice, and to better the lives for farm workers here in BC and everywhere. Thank you.